Hi, welcome back to Box to Lights and welcome to our Cloudspire series of videos. We're going to be playing through one of the solo scenarios. The solo scenarios are meant to be played in order as a campaign. As you head into the first scenario, it'll have a set of objectives and win-loss conditions, and then those will carry over into the next scenario, scenario 2. So depending on how well you did in the previous scenario may give you some bonus or maybe some penalty in the next scenario. There's this resource called Renown that you'll earn for various levels of success in a scenario that will then be carried over to the next scenario. A series of scenarios are grouped into chapters, a chapter for each different faction in the game. So we're going to dive ahead to the Grovetenders chapter, scenario 1. Grovetenders being one of my favourite factions. And the idea here really is to show you the flow of the game and how all the different phases of the game interact. If we skip back a few pages in the book, then we'll see the way Renown works. As you move from scenario to scenario, you'll earn Renown, and you can either bank that Renown and keep it, or you can spend it. So at the start of a scenario, you can choose to gain one of the advantages from your current list, and then you'll hopefully earn Renown from this scenario, which you'll carry over into the next, which you can then spend, earn some more, carry over some more, and so on and so on. So for example, for Grovetenders, if you want the forming life advantage, that will cost you 1 Renown, or the Wyvern Slay, that will cost you 7 Renown. And what happens is when you get to the final, the 4th scenario for each faction, everything gets reset, and anything that you didn't spend will be lost. I've gone through the setup already here in front of us, and we'll learn to play as we play. There were some setup instructions for us that said roll d6 to determine the stats of the monolith spire. So these are the spires, and we rolled a 2 for this spire, and that meant this spire gets attack, ranged, range, fortification from the top down. There's our spire. In solo mode, the AI and these spires can break the regular rules. If you look at a monolith, normally it would start the game with 2 attack and 1 fortification, and then once reduced down below, so these 2 dots, what that means is once it's down to just 1 upgrade, and this upgrade becomes its health as well, so as a spire gets knocked down, chips get removed from the bottom, and then you can pay to upgrade it again, and it could be upgraded back to strength 2, just 2 dots, just 2, so it couldn't get any higher. But that's your spires. The AI, like I said, can break those rules. They do have the connected trait as well. It doesn't mean much for the AI as it goes, but with 2 monoliths in play, what that means is you add 1 to its upgrade capacity for every other spire with the connected ability. So with 1 other in play, they would each be 3, upgrade capacity 3. So we could knock it down and it could end up upgrading back to 3. The scenarios asked us to set up some landmarks. This is our end, this is our fortification. No upgrades on it yet. We start with 0 source and 10 strength. One of the carryovers here asks you to reduce that down to 5, but we're not doing this for our tutorial. Got another spire up here, and we've got landmarks. Typically, landmarks are distributed randomly, but in our setup here, it's asked us to place. We've got a couple of spires, and then some landmarks in specific places down this end. 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and this one will be the rogue grizzled oak. It's going to start unactivated. Alright, so these are specific setup instructions that you can follow with each scenario. We're playing against a Narora, and their fortress has a strength of 10. They have 0 source. The AI doesn't need to gain or spend source. Another way they break the rules. Landmarks follow standard setup process, which is we place a swamp on the one closest to our fortress, and everything else randomly, apart from those that have been designated by the setup instructions. So We take our landmarks. These are swamps. Just going to shuffle those. The rest we shuffle together. And there's 2 source wells on each tile, okay? So you know they're either covered by a spire or a landmark. For the markets, we have 3 market chips revealed from a random stack, and then we shuffle the earthscape tiles and reveal the top one face up. We got 3 mercenaries, mercs, in the market. 3 because it's the number of fortresses plus 1. Okay, so remember that in your solo games. More fortresses mean more mercenaries to be hired. Events we're not going to use in the solo scenarios, but relics are potentially rewards from defeating enemy units. To win this scenario, we've got to complete at least one of our 3 objectives. And one of these is use summon no more than 3 times. We'll have a look at that in a moment. It says defeat the rogue grizzled oak and return it to your fortress. So we've got to come and reveal this landmark, and then we can carry it back to our fortress. And then it says construct a spire on source well B. So source well B is this one. So that's a target spot for us, right near the gate to the Narora fortress. Obviously the scenario is going to be the same every time you play it in the solo game, but the replayability comes from trying the scenario again and again and trying to get 1, 2, 3 renown, the maximum 3 renown, by completing all 3 objectives. There is an alternate way to play solitaire, and that's with the endless mode. You set up with the kind of like the full multiplayer with 7 tiles on the map, and then you just keep playing wave after wave after wave. In this mode there's no enemy spires firing on you, but there's waves of enemies moving down towards your fortress, and the aim is to just try and kind of beat your own score by getting as many waves completed as you can before your fortress falls. The scenario tells us then that the first player is Narora, and I've just realised this one needs to be a swamp as well, so both landmarks closest to the fortresses should be swamps. The game's going to be played in waves. In each wave we're going to be sending units across the board towards the enemy fortress. When all of those units, what we call minions, are defeated, then we end the wave and we start the next wave. Okay, and there's various phases that make up each wave. Each scenario will consist of 4 or 5 waves. We're going to play 5 waves in this scenario, so you've got a limited amount of time to achieve your objectives. So we start with wave 1. The first phase is the event phase, and in the solo game that means rolling a die. Number 3. Our scenario tells us a roll of 3 says draw from the market stack until you reveal a merc, hero or minion. This unit's added to the top of the Narora deployment stack. Okay, the Narora are recruiting. That's equipment. Here we go, a nomad. Mercs can be heroes or minions, just like your own units. This is a hero. It's got a hero mercenary, right? A hero merc. It's got a gold border. This is a minion. It's got this bronze border. Next phase is the income phase. It tells us during the income phase we gain 3 source. Remember, the AI doesn't use source, okay, but we do. We track source on our fortress using this dial. Put that to 3. Source is one of 2 currencies in the game. The second is called CP. We'll look at that in a moment. Source is what we use to upgrade and build with. CP, the other currency, is what we recruit our units with. Next phase, market phase. It says the Narora will purchase an earthscape, but do not place it. Basically, they're going to remove an earthscape from the market. Now, only 1 earthscape can be purchased each phase of the game, so they've collared this one, which means we can't. Normally they cost 2 source to buy. Okay, so they've prevented us from doing so. Remember, they're first player, they get first dibs. We've got 3 source to spend, so we can't buy an Earthscape. And as far as the mercs are concerned, this is their cost at the top here. This one costs 5, 4, 4. We don't have enough source. Mercenaries, unlike our regular units, cost source to hire. Okay, remember, units cost CP. For building, upgrading, market, it's source. The blue dial on our fortress. Build phase next. There's a dash here. It says there's no modifications to the build phase. So we can build stuff if we wish. During the build phase, you can upgrade your fortress. You can upgrade a spire. We have none currently deployed to upgrade. We can build a spire on an isle over which we have influence. This is an isle, one of these neoprene tiles. Okay, the one next to your fortress you have influence over. Once you get a spire here, then adjacent isles will also be under your influence, and so your influence spreads across the map as you build spires. There's also 2 spots here on your fortress where you can build spires. At the beginning of the game, the Grovetenders have access to the retool and the shrubbery spires. These are these. Shrubbery will cost 4 source to build, and the retool 5. On the flip side are upgraded versions of spires. So here we have creeping vines costing 4 source and the muskeg costing 5. Notice the gold star, that shows you the upgraded side. Okay, we don't have access to those yet, irrespective of the fact that we can't afford them. We don't have access to them because you need to upgrade your fortress before you can access those upgraded spires. The same applies to all the other factions. They have their basic spires and their upgraded spires. So the only potential build action for us is a fortress advancement. So look at your faction sheet. On one side is the talents and the other is the advancements. And you can advance different sections of your fortress. And you have to do so in level order. Each section of your fortress, for example, if we look at the gate port here, has 2 levels, level 1, level 2. You can't build level 2 until you've built level 1. And then next to them is a cost. So for example, the level 1 gate port advancement is called Earth Affinity. It costs 3, and it allows us to Earthscape for 0 cost rather than the usual 2 cost. One that I am potentially interested in is the Forming Glade Basic Form advancement. It costs 3. I won't go into details on it just yet, but I'm going to purchase this and then we'll see this in action during the Onslaught phase, which is coming up. So I spend my 3 source. This goes back down to 0. And over on the right hand side of my fortress is the Forming Glade area. Each of these sections of my fortress advancements on my fortress map has its own section. So there's the gate port section, there's the sharpener section. Okay, so we're going to advance the Forming Glade section. I'm going to grab one of these blue pegs, place it down here in the number 1 spot of Forming Glade. This advancement's now available to us. The next phase is the prep phase. In the prep phase, this is where we pick our units. Narora goes first, and it says the Narora gets a conduit. So Narora are these blue units here, and the conduit is this unit. It has 3 health, 2 attack, 2 movement. It costs 4 CP to prepare, and if defeated it'll reward 3 source to its conqueror. And the Narora are going to deploy that, and we place it here in the fortress gate together with 3 health. And remember, we have the Nomad as well, which has 3 health. And remember, the event phase said we deploy that on top of its deployment stack. This stack of Naroran units are going to head towards our fortress, and it says during wave 1 the Naroran units will use the south path. Okay, we're going to follow this path. Right, we've got 4 CP to spend. Let's have a look at our units. We've already seen the spires. These are our heroes. They have a gold border. And then these are our minions. Like spires, heroes and minions can be upgraded. Heroes will be upgraded as they gain experience on the battlefield. Minions can be upgraded by fortress advancements. This is treed. On the reverse side, treed advanced. A basic treed costs 3 CP, remember we have 4 to spend. The Grovetenders are a strange faction. They can only promote their minions through the use of the talent Summon. So with 4 CP we might decide to take, say, 2 Warbriars at 2 each, and then Daiwen at 0, or maybe Ibanthe at 4. Another possibility would be the Vine Herald at 3. We'd have 1 spare CP. Now, Grovetenders do have a fortress advancement that helps you use that spare 1 CP. It says during the prep phase, a tuning, exchange 1 CP for 4 source. We could have taken that. But the other thing to be aware of is during the waves, when it comes to your heroes, you've only got 1 of each of 3 heroes. During wave 1, each faction has a single 0 cost hero, and that's the only hero that you can deploy. During wave 2 and onwards, you can deploy these additional heroes, but you can have no more than 2 heroes deployed at any one time. So here we are in wave 1, so I'm going to take Daiwen at 0 cost and 2 Warbriars. The next step is to decide how we want to deploy them. You can deploy them individually, or you can group them. When deployed individually, they will move and attack as individuals. When grouped or stacked, they will move as a single unit together. Now when it comes to heroes and minions, your hero can go on top or underneath, but not in between. So, 2 health for Daiwen, we'll put him on the bottom. And then the Warbriars will group together. So we just have 1 minion revealed, and the stats of the group are the top minion. So it's got health 3 health chips. That's prep phase complete. Now we move into the heart of the game, the Onslaught phase. Aurora move first, and they work from top to bottom through their deployment stack. So Nomad goes first with its 4 movement. We're going to take the south path, and they have a target. The target is enemy fortress. That's what they're heading towards. This Nomad's got a special icon on it, this tree terrain icon. What that means is it doesn't have to just move down paths, it can move through forest. All of our units can move down paths. Some can move through paths and plains. Some can move through paths, plains and forests. So our Nomad could come out into this plain spot. Now the rules are that AI minions must progress towards their mark as much as possible. So they will use the full extent of their movement to get as far as they can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our minions, again, will move like the AI. The difference is they don't have to advance as far as they can, as long as they end closer to the enemy fortress than they started, and they're using as much of their movement points as they can. The next unit is the Conduit. They don't have any special icons, they can only move through paths with a movement of 2. 1, 2. And with no one to attack, that's the end of the AI's turn. Over to us. And we're going to start moving our minions and our hero out of our fortress. Now remember, during the build phase we took this Forming Glade advancement, basic form. During this step now, before we start moving, we can place a Warbriar or a Treed underneath our hero. And this is either a hero that is deploying this turn, so it's sitting here in my fortress, or on a subsequent turn, if it's in a forest hex. The minion won't really exist. All we're doing is we're inheriting its talent. It's Impale or it's Ram. We're going to put Treed under this hero. This isn't a summon, we haven't summoned a minion, we've just inherited its trait. Right, now we move. So the Warbriar's grouped together with a movement of 2. It's going to move down this path. 1, 2. Job done. Our hero, on the other hand, they can use as much or as little of their movement, the 2 movement, as we wish. Darwin has the forest terrain icon, so we can move, say, over here. I don't want to put him in range of the monolith just yet. I want to do some exploring first. Right, that's our movement completed. Next step is Spire's Fire. Now, unfortunately, our Warbriar is in range of both of these monoliths. Spires can attack anything adjacent. Remember, but they have an additional 2 range, which means they can attack anything up to 3 hexes away. Okay, that's adjacent, that's 1 range, that's 2 range. So both these monoliths are going to attack the Warbriar. They're pretty potent things right now. Their attack strength is only 1. They've only got 1 attack upgrade each. And when Spires fire, they roll a die. So I'm going to take 1 attack die for this monolith and 1 attack die for this monolith. Yep, our hero's out of range. So they're both attacking the Warbriar. So let's do the north one first. And it's a blank. That's a super roll. No damage from here. And this one's going to attack. And 1 damage here. We remove 1 health from the Warbriar. If one of your units is adjacent to a landmark, you may explore it. So let's have the Warbriar explore this. You explore it by turning over and taking a peek. Okay, this is Cibissa with a toxic secretion. Now, you can choose, you don't have to reveal it, place it face up, or immediately place it back face down. Some landmarks have the engage keyword, they must be revealed. Okay, but we're going to choose to reveal this one, that's cool. And then the same over here, let's take a look at this one. Oh, Grail Goats, this thing is relentless. Do I want to take it? I think I do, because its source reward is so good. And if I defeat this, it reveals a source well, which is a spot where I can then deploy spires and have influence over this isle. The thing about the Grail Goats is they only attack you if you attack them, so I don't see a problem keeping this thing here. We need to give these things some health, though the Cibissa has 4 health. And the Grail Goats 3 health. Now we can start doing some attacking. Darwin has 2 range. This might have been a better spot because that would have put him in range of this thing. So that's a lesson learned. The Warbriar can attack here or here. I don't want to attack the goat. I'm going to do that at range with Darwin. So we're going to have the Warbriar attack Cibissa. Now the way units attack each other is they just do their attack stat damage. So the Warbriar, with an attack 1, does 1 damage to Cibissa. And the unit you attacked will retaliate immediately with its attack stat. The Cibissa has no attack stat, it will not retaliate. I don't want the hero to attack the goats, because if I do, he will retaliate. And Relentless says you keep rolling the die until you roll a miss or a crit, which is a 2. So you could potentially just keep rolling 1s and 1s and 1s, and Darwin will be defeated straight away. But only if in range. Darwin's got 2 range. If I move over here and attack, then the goats can't attack back. So that would be the plan. And there's a reason I'm protective over my hero, because Darwin, there's only one of her. Once she's defeated, then she's out of the game. Your minions, they're like cannon fodder. They'll just get defeated, they'll go back to the barracks, and they can get redeployed on a subsequent wave or resummoned. Your heroes, you've got to look after. That's the attack phase complete, so we move back to Narora. The unit that's further on will move first, so Nomad is moving another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. and then conduit 2, 1, 2. Right, let's move. So diamond's going to move back over here. 1, 2, 3. It was still out of range of that monolith, which is good. The Warbriar, with its 2 move, is heading this way. 1, 2. Now this Sibessa has the toxic secretion talent. What that says, when a unit moves onto a hex next to it, it loses 1 health. Warbriar's finished. Impale doesn't work against Spires, only opposing units. Spires will now fire. It's out of range of this one, but this one's still in range. 1 attack, 1 die. And another miss. Wow. The dice gods are on our side. Now we can attack. So Daiwen's got 2 range. It's going to attack the goats, who can't retaliate because we're out of range. The Warbriar would attack the monolith with its 1 attack, which would remove the bottom upgrade. However, the bottom upgrade is a fortification. Fortifications protect spires. On a spire, this needs at least 2 attack to remove. Okay, every attack will remove 1 upgrade. Doesn't matter how much attack. So if I had 2 attack, it would remove 1. If I had 5 attack, it would remove 1. If I had 1 attack, it would remove 1, except 1 does nothing against the fortification upgrade. Okay. So back to Narora. Now we're going to see some actions. These mercenaries are moving very fast down this path, and they're going to be up against our Warbriar. Join me next time and we'll see what happens.